victory target of 301. They closed on 226 for 7, needing 75 runs to win. Here's opening batsman Keaton Jennings.
I think it's been a good day's work, but at the same stage it's set up to be a really good test match. I mean, the last sort of 4 days have been absolutely amazing to watch. We arrived before the test match, looking at the surface. I don't think you would have expected it to get to day 5, so look, it's set up for a bit of a thriller.
In rugby union, a much-changed England lineup will look to impress against Japan at Twickenham later. Wales take on Tonga in Cardiff, while Scotland go up against South Africa at Murrayfield. And you can now buy roasted crickets if you fancy trying them for lunch. Sainsbury's has become the first UK supermarket to sell Eat Grubs products. They're described as crunchy in texture and can be eaten as a snack. That's the latest. I'm Tanya Snuggs.
Advertise on New Sound Radio. 4 as
west, sunny elsewhere, and a high this afternoon of 12 degrees. From Global's newsroom for LBC, I'm Glenn Thompson. This is LBC from Global, leading Britain's conversation with Majid Nawaz.
Good afternoon, it's Majid Nawaz here on LBC. Theresa May used an emergency reshuffle to bolster the cabinet with loyalists yesterday amid fears that she could face a vote of no confidence next week. Pro-Brexit Conservative MPs have accused the Prime Minister of going over their heads by reaching out to the party grassroots in order to stave off an attempted coup. I'm asking, what is the future of Brexit? 03456060973. And in a related question, feel free to move this on as well to the next point of the question, which is, what is the future of Theresa May and her Conservative Party and the government? Bring that all in. Feel free to discuss any one of those two questions for the course of the next hour. Now, before I go to Kieran, who's waiting patiently from Romford, I think that is Kieran, the van driver, isn't it? It's the James O'Brien viral clip of Kieran. Welcome, Kieran. We're going to go to you in a second to hear what you have to say. But I do want to read a couple of texts here just to indicate some of the problems that we're dealing with about the facts in this debate. So here is a texter, anonymous. Please put your names in text, people, if you want to. The text says, the Irish border is a non-issue. Of course, just as a recap, we were talking about how I take the view that none of the imaginable options on the table, whether it be Theresa May's fudge deal, or indeed the no deal option, or indeed Norway, Switzerland, Canada Plus, none of the imaginable options available fix this problem for us at the Irish border. And yet here we have a texter saying the Irish border is a non-issue. What about Switzerland? There is a physical structure, but it's completely open and unchecked. Why can't Ireland, north and south, operate exactly the same way? The Switzerland option is not an option for us, people. Not least because some EU regulations are still applied to Switzerland. Switzerland is still obliged to adhere to some EU regulations to enable trade, and free movement applies to the Switzerland model. But the ones, the regulations that don't apply are the ones that precisely make up 80% of our economy, and that's related to the financial sector. The Switzerland model is not a model that we can copy for multiple reasons. And so I think it's important to keep in mind the facts in this debate. Kieran wants to speak to us from Romford. Go for it, Kieran.
Hello, Majid. How are you doing?
You are Kieran from the clip that we have on our website, aren't you, Kieran?
Yes, I am. Yes.
Right, tell us what you think. It's the van driver being put out of business by Brexit on James O'Brien show, just for reference. Go for it, Kieran.
Yeah, originally when I first called in, I was talking about the Dover-Calais border and what customs will actually do for the commercial traffic that passes over every day.
Yep.
You've got 12,000 trucks in and out every day using Folkestone and Dover. If you have an average of 20 minutes to 30 minutes per truck just to collect your papers, not to check the trucks, which is important, is to collect your papers and surrender your papers. Upon arrival into the UK, you surrender them, you collect them to... the thing is, with Northern Ireland, it will be treated as any other border.
That's right, like Dover and Calais would be, right?
As in Dover and Calais, as in what you already see in Basel, Violent Rhine. If you go in on a Monday morning, you'll have a 10-15 kilometre queue of trucks waiting on the motorway to get in. It's like that most days of the week to get in because they have to surrender or collect their papers from a customs agent. Now, the problem Theresa May's paper has is when we leave on in December 2020, even if we do have some sort of trade deal in place, as you said to your last caller, they're going to want to protect their commercial borders and stop us from undermining them. Now, what's important, I mean, you know, for a good example would be what happens if we bring in agri-foods, if we bring in chickens from the States. They're banned in the European Union. You're not going to just be able to take them from the Northern Irish border down to the Republic border. And the European Union are completely right in saying, look, we have to protect our borders.
Otherwise, it defeats the purpose of the European Union. The very definition of a trade bloc.
Yeah, absolutely. You're adhering to the rules and regulations of the customs bloc within the area. Now, Switzerland has physical hard borders. Anybody who wants to tell you otherwise, well, they believe in unicorns, because I've got on Twitter many times about the queues on the borders. The documentary I did for the BBC highlighted just how much friction there is.
But also, Kieran, also the Switzerland model, as well as the fact there are queues. I mean, I thank you for that, because you're somebody who clearly does this for a living, right? You're driving a van through these borders, as well as the queues at the borders. The Switzerland model, I mean, Switzerland, has to adhere still to some EU regulations to give it access to the market, right? And that's what Brexiteers are precisely what Brexiteers are saying they don't want to do. And B, the exemptions that are there for Switzerland's market and access to the EU don't apply to us, because 80% of our relationship with the EU economically is going to rely on our city deal that we cut, the whole passporting rights they call them for the City of London, which the Switzerland model doesn't cover.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, what people need to realise when you look at the Swiss border and the relationship Switzerland has, when people who don't physically transport commercial goods over these borders, they're going on holiday in their Fiat 500 to drive to the mountains, and they're going through a Schengen area where they don't even have to show their passport, and they have to go through a physical border. If you go through in a commercial vehicle, you have to go into the commercial vehicle lane. Doesn't matter if you're in a van or a truck.
Look at that.
If you have goods to declare, you have to stop and you have to clear your papers at the border. Unless you've got them inland, you still have to drive through the commercial lanes. Now, this is friction. Now, the problem is with over in Calais, you know, you go back to that. 12,000 trucks in and out every day.